Welcome to the Janine Bolon Show, where we share tips from around the globe as we guide practical people with their finances using money tips, increase their incomes through side businesses, and maintain their sanity by staying in their creative zone.
Hi, Janine Bolon with you here, coming to you live from Colorado. And I have with me today Iggy, who is this amazing, not only content creator, we found each other through podcasting, didn't we?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And so for the Thriving Solopreneur Show, we have a little bit of a treat. We're going video instead of just podcasting today because it was important that you hear the content and you get to see Iggy, because what she wants to share with you is that emotional intelligence that a lot of course creators, solopreneurs, workshop people have. And it's one of those things that with 2020 and the huge reboot the entire industry has received, there are now educational leaders, and Iggy is one of those, who is coming out and saying and sharing, look, I know it's a two-dimensional platform, but we need to be very three-dimensional in how we're presenting our content to people. So if you don't mind, I'd love you to pick up where we left off in the green room. Talk to us, first of all, your full name, and then talk to us about emotional intelligence, because that gets left by the wayside a lot of times.
Oh, it so does. Well, I am Iggy Perillo, and my business is WSL Leadership, and I am really committed to making people more emotionally intelligent in their work, sport, and life. That's the WSNL. And there are so many folks out there. My background's in education. There's so many folks out there that are educators because they're an expert in their field and they're really know their stuff. And then they go to create a course, create a training, create something. And they're beautiful, emotionally intelligent people. But when they move into that educator space, that all goes to the wayside. And I know we've all sat through a webinar or training or anything and been like, ugh, I'm just getting like blasted at, like all the information is just getting dumped on me. So I would love to help more of those expert course creators, educators, people in that space, just bring that emotional intelligence that they already have back to their educational practice. Because when it gets lost, it's so sad and boring, and it's fun, like oppressive as an educator when people show up and just try to dump knowledge on you. It's not very fun. And platforms don't always help that, and platforms sometimes do, but sometimes they just become bells and whistles and not as emotionally intelligent either, which is a bummer.
So how about you walk us through by the hand, talk to us a little bit about what it means to have emotional intelligence from the perspective of a solopreneur, content creator, or workshop runner, because there's so many different ways that it has been defined. I'd like your definition personally.
Sure. Well, I go with the sort of four classic pieces of emotional intelligence. There's self-awareness, self-management, other awareness, which is actually cognitive empathy, and relationship management. And I think a lot of folks, solopreneurs, are good at the self-awareness, like, oh, I know how I operate. I know when I need my peak performances. I know how I need to structure my day, blah, blah, blah. So, and then they're good at self-management, but that's like, I know how to structure my day. I know how to manage my energy levels over time. But then on the educator side, they lose the sort of relational piece. Cognitive empathy means understanding how other people are feeling. So being able to name their feelings, and not like I feel with you sort of empathy, but like I'm thinking about how you're feeling so I can identify that. And then the next part is, how do I manage this relationship? So relationship management means a lot of times it gets skewed toward like, oh, conflict management. How do we, we're freaking out. We need to solve this. But I think there's also relationship nurturing and relationship connecting, these types of things that are part of relationship management that as a solopreneur, people have to do really well, but then they step as an educator that's just gone sometimes.
I totally agree. One of the things that I remember reading a lot about in the early 90s as the computers started taking over, blah, 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 the workplace. And one of the things that they talked about was high tech, high touch. And I find it's interesting that kind of phraseology has shifted, and we're now talking about relationship management and being able to understand the emotions of where somebody is coming from. And now they talk about how to take your customer on a journey, the customer journey and all that. Talk to us a little bit about how the tech can get in the way of you being empathetic to your people and not even realize it. See, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are naturally gifted in emotion, in the sense of they're naturally gifted empaths. They may not call themselves that. They may like, that's too woo-woo, back off, Janine. That's not what I want to talk about. But I know you know of systems and solutions to make sure that comes through the screen.
Absolutely. I think to be a good entrepreneur, you need to understand the problems that your potential clients are facing, right? And that's actually cognitive empathy. Like, I understand that this is hard for them. Holy cow, I have a solution. Here you go. But the holy cow, I have a solution sounds great to you. And to them, it might sound like, Okay. Like another one with a holy cow solution. Great. And I think that when folks move to a platform that's hosting, my mantra is your platform is not your pedagogy, and pedagogy is the art and science of teaching, right? So your platform is not actually the art and science of teaching. Your platform is a way to amplify it, a way to get it out there, a way to make it accessible. That's what like a platform is. And that's videos, YouTube, learning management systems, all these different things are just platforms. And if you don't approach your platform like I'm managing a relationship through this platform, that's where it gets really tough. And it becomes an information download because so many of us have a habit of recreating what we've seen before. And what we've seen before, often in a traditional educational system, I was a product of the, public school system, college system in the US here. A lot of it is lecture and and worksheets and the pop quiz. Oh no. And the test at the end. Great. I've learned it. And I love it when people try to reframe the test as a celebration of learning. Like, cool, this test has now been rebranded, but it's still, I'm not connecting with that person on a personal level and building a relationship with them through the educational content that I'm delivering. And so I think that's where I'd like to work with folks in terms of like, what's that relationship like? And if your relationship is based on the part where I'm an expert and you're an empty-headed blank tablet, it's not like, People are not empty-headed blank tablets when you go to bring them information. So you have to approach that as a relationship and manage that relationship through the educational expertise that you're trying to deliver to folks.
And a lot of times those platforms will offer that for you. And one of the things that I liked when you and I were talking on a previous podcast was these are the steps that you can take so that you can be more yourself. And I think what happens is because the tech is all new and you maybe are teaching people how to play guitar, and all of a sudden you're having cameras, you've got ring lights facing you, you're thrown into a situation that normally your teaching skills have not prepared you for. So you hear this all the time. I love your perspective on, well, just be authentic, just be you, right?
Right.
And people are like, well, I can be when I don't have 3 sets of ring lights and I have a Zoom camera on me.
Mm-hmm.
This is an unusual place for me to be. So kind of walk us through how you can help us bring up our emotional quotient then when it comes to a workshop that we're trying to deliver. And we are an expert and we have help for our people, but our people need, we're in that 2-dimensional space.
Yeah, I love it how you describe the 2-dimensional space because that's really true. Like I'm delivering something, there's content there, I'm creating it, and then I just send it out there. Good luck, world. Like they'll absorb it through their ears or their eyes or they'll read it. Like we're done. That's it. I think there's this beautiful part of emotional intelligence, like way back to being self-aware, that is being self-aware, not just of your emotional states, which I think is a lot of times what emotional intelligence sort of gravitates towards is the word. And so being able to understand my own emotional state is great, but also being able to understand my personal values is what is the foundation of my authenticity. So if I know what I value as a person, I know that I value you as a person I'm connecting with as a human, that's going to inform and educate all these other pieces of how I present and operate in the world. If I know that for myself, a personal value is, for example, some people really value generativity in the sense of bringing up the next generation, right? So they see themselves as someone who needs to bring the next generation up to where they are because they've achieved, expertise in a certain area. That idea, that value is going to inform and educate how you deliver your content in a way that builds that relationship with those people. Like, oh, I'm being nurtured into this space. Like, oh, I'm being lifted into this space versus, oh, I'm being, forced into this space and get it because it's hard, like whatever it is. I think there's those parts of emotional intelligence around self-awareness of your personal values, I think are really critical foundational pieces to this.
And so is there any other tip or any other thing that you would like to share with our listeners today regarding emotional intelligence? It's such a vast topic. So, right. I mean, you can talk for hours on this. So kind of give us, what is a golden nugget you can leave us with? And then we need to know how to get a hold of you.
Beautiful. I think the most important thing is to break that 2-dimensional space into a human space. And knowing who you are and how you present yourself in that space is important self-awareness. But thinking of that as a relationship with your learners, with your people you're reaching out to, with those people on the other end, I think just remember that is a relationship you're building. Maybe that's about it, which is so simple yet nuanced, so nuanced in terms of who you are as a person, your medium, your content, all these different things. But building that relationship through that is so crucial.
Okay, so let's have some contact information for you so that we can run to your place to figure out how to do that.
For sure. Iggy@wslleadership.com. Like, email is really the best way to reach me. My website, wslleadership.com, has a host of many, many things there. So you can learn more about me and everything there. But email is really the best way to connect with me.
Thank you so much for your time today on the Thriving Solopreneur Show.
Thanks for having me. I've had fun.
All right. And this is Janine Bolon signing off with the Thriving Solopreneur Show, where we try to help you with your business and bringing about more money, cash on the barrelhead through workshops, content creation, course creation, online books, and a variety of other products and services. Have a great day today.
Thank you for listening to the Janine Bolon Show. Be sure to subscribe to our show notes by going to theJanineBolonShow.com, where you'll find additional resources as well as the opportunity to sign up to receive our program in your email each week. Be sure to visit our sponsor at the8gates.com.